An unassuming grandmother, accompanied by her 8-year-old grandson, carefully counted her change to purchase groceries. The impatient cashier, however, began to ridicule her publicly, uttering cruel words that stung with each passing second. The weight of humiliation grew in her eyes as she struggled to maintain her composure for her grandson's sake. Unbeknownst to everyone, just behind her in line, a discreet man in a dark jacket observed the scene with a serious expression. His subsequent actions were so unexpected, they would bring tears to your eyes. Before we continue, let us know where you're reading from. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribe to the channel because tomorrow at 12:30 p.m., we have another special story waiting for you. The sun shone brightly, but a gentle breeze tempered the warmth as Mary and Liam walked towards the grocery store. Her clothes were simple, worn from years of use, yet always impeccably clean. Liam's small, confident hand held hers tightly, his 8-year-old eyes sparkling with curiosity and innocence. He gazed around in awe at the store's towering shelves laden with goods he rarely had the opportunity to take home. Mary scrutinized each price tag carefully, selecting items as if every decision held immense importance. In the cart were only the essentials: a bag of rice, a carton of milk, and a loaf of bread, simple necessities she knew she could afford. Meanwhile, Liam's attention was captured by the vibrant packaging of sweets and cookies, his excitement palpable as they passed the cookie aisle. Mary hesitated, her gaze fixed on a familiar package, a box of chocolate cookies with a blue and white label. Her chest tightened at the sight. The memory of Emily, her daughter, flooded back. Emily always bought that exact box for Liam. Emily had passed away 2 years ago in a sudden car accident that had devastated the family. Mary barely had time to grieve. She had to remain strong for Liam. The promise she made to Emily still echoed in her mind daily: to care for Liam and give him as much happiness as possible, even if it meant sacrificing her own well-being. "Grandma, these are the ones Mom used to get me. Can we get them?" Liam asked, his eyes lighting up with joyful remembrance. Mary felt a lump rise in her throat. Something about the look on his face made all her struggles seem worthwhile. But she also knew her budget. It was already stretched thin. After a moment of hesitation, she picked up the box and placed it gently in the cart. Emily's voice seemed to echo in her mind, urging her to keep Liam's smile alive, even at a personal cost. "Of course, sweetheart," she said with a warm smile, masking her internal worry. The narrator interjected empathetically, like a silent observer. Mary was resilient. She had lost her daughter, faced financial hardship, and adjusted to a simpler life. Yet, she never let Liam feel the weight of her burdens. Living on a modest pension and with limited resources, every trip to the grocery store was an exercise in balance: necessity versus indulgence, essentials versus a small spark of joy. But, no matter what, saying no to Liam's hopeful smile felt impossible. Mary calculated the coins in her pocket as they approached the checkout, silently fearing they might not be enough. She would do anything to keep Liam's smile, but she wasn't prepared for what would happen next. Mary approached the checkout counter cautiously, trying to remain calm. She carefully placed her few items on the counter while Liam, excited, held the package of cookies with both hands. "These are the cookies Mom always used to buy for me," Liam said with a smile, looking up at Mary. Brad, the cashier, appeared tired and annoyed. He glanced at Mary and her cart, and his expression shifted when he noticed the small pouch of coins she pulled from her bag. He let out a loud, exaggerated sigh, ensuring everyone around noticed his impatience. "Coins? Seriously? This isn't a bank, lady," he said, crossing his arms. His voice carried an irritated tone that only amplified Mary's discomfort. Visibly uneasy, Mary began counting her coins with trembling hands. Liam looked back and forth between his grandmother and the cashier, sensing the tension but not fully understanding what was happening. Brad continued his remarks, completely indifferent to their impact. "You couldn't count these at home before coming here and holding everyone up?" he said, shaking his head as he glanced at the growing line of customers. "Folks, I hope you're comfortable. This is going to take forever." Murmurs began among the customers, and Mary felt her face flush. She tried to quicken her pace, but her hands trembled even more under the pressure. "I'm sorry," she murmured, barely audible, as she continued counting. Brad let out a sarcastic laugh and threw out another jab. "Sorry doesn't cut it, lady. Maybe next time bring a card like normal people." A man in the line tried to intervene. "Hey, that's unnecessary. Let her pay at her own pace." Brad responded with a cynical smile. "You're welcome to come here and count these coins yourself, buddy. Meanwhile, I'll try to keep the line moving." Liam lightly tugged on Mary's sleeve, noticing her tension. "It's okay, Grandma. Don't be sad," he whispered softly. Mary simply nodded, trying to maintain her composure as she counted the remaining coins. Mary realized she didn't have enough coins to pay for all the items. Taking a deep breath, she tried to hold back tears. She looked at Liam, who was still holding the package of cookies. With a shaky voice, she said, I think we'll leave the cookies. Just the other items, please." Liam, understanding what was happening, forced a smile in an attempt to lighten the situation. "It's okay, Grandma. I wasn't really in the mood for cookies anyway," he said, his small voice filled with tenderness. Mary's heart broke. Liam's words were an effort to protect her, but she knew how much it cost him. Brad grabbed the cookies disdainfully and set them aside. "Finally," he said, rolling his eyes, "maybe now we can finish this line." He looked at the customers behind Mary and added with a sarcastic smile, "Thanks for your patience, folks. Not everyone knows how to shop properly." A few muffled chuckles echoed, while others remained silent, visibly uncomfortable with the scene. Brad then added, as if addressing Mary but clearly wanting everyone to hear it, "It would be so much easier for everyone if people were a little more prepared when they come shopping." Mary tried to ignore the comment, continuing to count her coins, but her fingers shook more than ever. Liam held her hand tightly, trying to comfort her. Brad, noticing her reaction, couldn't resist one last jab. "This isn't charity, ma'am. If you can't pay, maybe you should think twice before grabbing things you can't afford." At that moment, a tall man in a black jacket and dark sunglasses stepped forward from the line. He slowly removed his sunglasses, revealing a serious, focused gaze. His presence was impossible to ignore. "That's enough," he said, his deep voice echoing through the store. His calm but firm tone silenced the entire line. Everyone turned to look at him, including Brad, who now seemed to realize that his actions had been witnessed. It was time to step in as Mary struggled to finish counting her coins. Brad didn't hold back his sarcastic remarks. "Maybe it would be easier if she came back another day when she has actual money," he said, glancing at the customers behind her as if expecting applause. "After all, no one here has all day." Mary kept her head down, not responding, but Liam clutched the package of cookies tighter, his wide eyes darting between Brad and his grandmother. The boy sensed something was wrong but didn't know how to help. "Seriously, ma'am," Brad continued, his tone even sharper. "Do you think you have unlimited time here? Other people are waiting to pay. If you can't afford everything, maybe you shouldn't take so much." The tension in the air was palpable. Some customers murmured in disapproval of Brad's behavior, while others simply watched in discomfort. That's when the tall man in the black jacket and dark sunglasses stepped forward in the line. He had been observing the scene for a while, his sharp eyes fixed on Brad. When Brad made another sarcastic comment, the man finally spoke up. "Do you always treat your customers like this, or is today just a special occasion?" His voice was deep but calm. Each word carefully measured, Brad looked up, surprised by the interruption. "And who are you exactly?" he scoffed, attempting to regain control of the situation. "Exactly her lawyer?" The man slowly removed his sunglasses, revealing a serious and determined gaze. His presence was commanding, but Brad still didn't seem to recognize him. "No," the man replied firmly. "Just someone who doesn't tolerate disrespect." The murmur among the customers grew louder. Some began to realize who was standing before them, but Brad remained oblivious. He rolled his eyes and tried to dismiss it. "Look, sir, this isn't disrespect. I'm just trying to speed things up. This lady is holding up the line with her sack of coins. You think respect is optional in your job? the man asked, tilting his head slightly. "She's paying, just like everyone else. What makes you think you have the right to treat her this way?" Brad faltered for a moment but quickly regained his defensive posture. "Sir, I'm just saying it's not fair to the other customers. Everyone here is in a hurry." "Fair?" the man repeated with a slight smile. "What's not fair is making a grandmother and her grandson feel humiliated just because you're impatient. Maybe you should rethink what fairness really means." Brad opened his mouth to retort, but the whispers in the line interrupted him. "Wait, is that Ryan Gosling?" Someone whispered loudly enough to draw attention. Brad's eyes widened in shock, his expression shifting from arrogance to disbelief. "Ryan Gosling?" he stammered. Ryan stepped closer, leaning slightly toward Brad. "That's right, and now you know who's asking you to treat people with dignity." Ryan turned to Mary and Liam, his expression softening. He glanced at the cookies in Liam's hands and said, "These cookies look delicious. I think they should definitely go home with you today." Mary tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. She could only nod, her emotions overwhelming her. Ryan then looked back at Brad and asked, "Cancel this transaction for me. It must take a long time to avoid a purchase, right?" Brad, still flustered, responded hesitantly, "Well, yeah, I mean, it depends. But it can take some time." "That's a shame," Ryan said with a calm smile, "because we're going to cancel this purchase now." Brad looked at him confused. "Cancel? But you just paid." Ryan shrugged. "I did, but I have a better idea. Let's make another purchase, a real one. Mary and Liam deserve much more than this, and you, Brad, can use the time to reflect on how you treat people." Turning back to Mary and Liam, Ryan smiled warmly. "Let's grab another cart and do a proper shopping trip. I want you to pick out everything you really need, and Liam, you can pick out some toys too." Mary shook her head, her voice trembling. I can't accept this. It's too much." Ryan gently took her hand and said softly, "You've done so much for him. Now it's my turn to help. Sometimes accepting help is the hardest and most courageous thing we can do." Liam looked up at Mary with an eager smile. "Can we, Grandma, please?" She took a deep breath and nodded. "Thank you. Truly, from the bottom of my heart." Ryan grabbed a cart and began leading them down the aisles. Mary hesitated with each item, but Ryan encouraged her. "Take what you need. Don't worry about the price. Let's make sure you and Liam are set for a while." Liam, grinning wider than he had in months, pointed out toys and treats. Ryan laughed and said, "If your grandma says yes, it goes in the cart." As the cart filled up, Ryan turned to Brad one last time. "Remember, Brad, kindness is the one thing that truly changes the world. Think about that while you void that transaction." The customers watched the scene unfold, many visibly moved and inspired by Ryan's generosity. Mary held Ryan's hand tightly as Liam clutched the now full cart of groceries. "Let's pay now," Ryan said, taking charge at the checkout. This time, he personally managed the transaction, ensuring everything went smoothly. Ryan Gosling guided Mary and Liam to the checkout counter, where a cart brimming with groceries, clothes, toys, and essentials awaited them. Liam, visibly more cheerful, held a small toy truck in his hands, clutching it carefully as if he couldn't believe it was truly his. "Let's pay for all this," Ryan said calmly to the cashier, who was someone new after Brad had been sent to reorganize the stockroom. The new cashier, visibly moved by the scene, quickly completed the transaction. Mary, her eyes still glistening with tears, held onto Ryan's arm, looking at him with a mix of gratitude and disbelief. "This is too much, Ryan. I'll never be able to repay you for this." Ryan looked at her warmly and replied, "It's not about repayment. It's about helping when we can. You've done so much for Liam. Now it's my turn to give something back." Customers still in the store began clapping, with some shouting words of encouragement. "This is incredible! He's not just a movie star, he's a role model. Bravo, Ryan!" An elderly woman approached Mary, taking her hand gently. "My dear, you deserve this. What a beautiful gesture he's made. Take good care of that boy, and remember, you're never alone." Mary thanked her, still emotional, while Liam looked at Ryan with admiration shining in his eyes. "Thank you, sir. You're like a real-life hero," he said. Ryan knelt to Liam's eye level, smiling as he replied, "You know, Liam, real heroes are the ones who take care of the people they love, just like your grandma does for you every day." As the scene unfolded, Brad, watching from a distance, finally mustered the courage to approach, visibly embarrassed and struggling for words. I'm sorry," he said. "I shouldn't have treated you like that. I was wrong." Ryan regarded him for a moment, but his gaze held no judgment. With a calm tone, he said, "You don't need to know someone's story to treat them with respect. Kindness is a choice, Brad, and we all have the power to make it. Use this moment to be better." Brad lowered his head, clearly moved by the response, and walked back to the stockroom, silently promising himself to change his attitude. In the days that followed, Mary still struggled to process everything that had happened. She and Liam were at home, organizing their groceries, when the phone rang. It was an unexpected call. "Hello?" Mary answered, her voice slightly apprehensive. "Hi, Mary, this is Ryan," the unmistakable voice replied. Mary nearly dropped the phone. "Ryan, I didn't expect to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. I called because I wanted to share something. I've spoken to some people and we've decided to do more for you and Liam. I want to fund his education. He'll have access to the best opportunities we can provide." Mary was silent for a moment, trying to absorb what she had just heard. "This is unbelievable. I don't even know how to thank you." "There's no need to thank me," Ryan replied warmly. "Just keep being the amazing grandmother you already are." Meanwhile, the story of Ryan and Mary had already spread across the internet. A customer had recorded the moment Ryan stepped in at the store, and the video quickly went viral. Thousands of comments flooded social media with messages of hope and inspiration. This is the kind of example the world needs. Ryan Gosling is an angel on earth. This reminds me to be kinder in my daily life. The grocery store also underwent changes inspired by the story's impact. The manager announced new training programs for employees, focusing on empathy and customer respect. Brad, at the center of the incident, volunteered to lead the training, determined to make amends for his mistakes. He also sought out Mary to apologize again, this time with sincerity. "I didn't know what you were going through. That's no excuse, but I want you to know I'm working to be a better person." Mary accepted his apology, touched by his humility. A few weeks later, Mary and Liam were at the park. Liam held a new soccer ball he had picked out during their shopping trip, running around joyfully. Mary sat on a bench watching him with a smile of deep contentment, feeling a peace she hadn't felt in years. As she admired Liam, a black car pulled up nearby. Ryan stepped out, dressed casually, carrying a small package. "Hi, Mary. I thought you and Liam might like this," he said, handing her the package. Inside were framed photos of Mary and Liam smiling at the store that day, along with a message: "To remind you that kindness always wins." Mary hugged him, her emotions overwhelming her. "You didn't just change our lives, Ryan. You gave us hope," Mary whispered, tears welling in her eyes. Ryan smiled warmly. "You've inspired me just as much as I hope I've inspired you. Keep being incredible." He ruffled Liam's hair, who was now clutching a new toy car, a bright red one, alongside his cookies. "And you, young man, keep being a superhero for your grandma, okay?" Liam beamed, nodding enthusiastically. As Ryan turned to leave, a small crowd had gathered nearby, watching the interaction with quiet admiration. A few people approached, some with phones in hand, others simply wanting to express their appreciation. "Mr. Gosling," one woman began, her voice trembling slightly, "what you did it was truly remarkable. It gives us all hope." Ryan smiled genuinely. "It's not about me," he said. "It's about recognizing each other's humanity. We all have the capacity for kindness. Sometimes we just need a little reminder." He paused, glancing back at Mary and Liam, who were now walking towards the store entrance, their shoulders a little straighter, their steps a little lighter. "They're the real heroes of this story. he added softly, before politely excusing himself and heading towards his waiting car. The video of the incident, capturing Ryan's intervention and his subsequent generosity, had already begun circulating online. Within hours, it had gone viral, sparking a wave of positive comments and shares. "Ryan Gosling restores my faith in humanity," one comment read. "Not just a handsome face, but a beautiful soul," another chimed in. The story resonated deeply with people, a welcome antidote to the constant barrage of negativity that often dominated the news cycle. It was a reminder that even small acts of kindness could have a profound impact, not only on the recipients but also on the wider community. Back at the grocery store, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. Brad, visibly shaken by the encounter and the subsequent online reaction, had spent the rest of his shift reflecting on his behavior. He realized that his impatience and judgmental attitude had not only hurt Mary and Liam, but had also tarnished his own sense of self. The manager, having seen the video and received numerous complaints, had taken swift action. Brad was given a formal reprimand and was required to undergo additional customer service training, focusing on empathy and respect. He wasn't fired, but he was given a second chance, an opportunity to learn from his mistakes and to become a better person. A few days later, Mary and Liam returned to the grocery store. This time, however, it was a completely different experience. They were greeted warmly by the staff, and Brad, having completed his training, approached them personally to offer a sincere apology. "I understand that my words and actions were hurtful," he said, his voice contrite. "I've learned a valuable lesson, and I promise to treat everyone with the respect they deserve." Mary, touched by his sincerity, accepted his apology. She understood that everyone makes mistakes, and she believed in the power of forgiveness. Life began to look brighter for Mary and Liam. Thanks to Ryan's generosity, Liam's future was secure. Mary no longer had to worry about how she would afford his education or provide him with the opportunities he deserved. The financial burden that had weighed so heavily on her shoulders had been lifted, replaced by a sense of hope and gratitude. She enrolled Liam in a better school, and he thrived, making new friends and discovering a passion for learning. Mary, in turn, found a renewed sense of purpose, volunteering at a local community center and helping other families in need. Ryan, meanwhile, continued to use his platform to advocate for important causes and to inspire others to make a difference. He never sought recognition for his acts of kindness, preferring to let his actions speak for themselves. The story of his encounter with Mary and Liam became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, kindness and compassion can prevail. And for Mary and Liam, it was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there are still good people in the world, willing to lend a helping hand and to offer a beacon of light. Their lives had been touched by an act of extraordinary kindness, and they, in turn, were inspired to pay it forward, spreading kindness and compassion wherever they went.